If Limerick is to win back the Munster title for the first time in 13 years, it will be surely through another major contribution from Gary Kirby.
What I can remember about the Limerick team is they were coming for a couple of years. We were on the wrong end of a couple of roastings from Limerick in National League games, and that both in Kilkenny and Limerick.
They generally would win a Munster final every decade. I mean, the 60s would be an exception for Limerick, but generally speaking, they were on the scene. They were reaching Munster finals on a regular basis.
They had an awful lot of top-class players. I guess the likes of Ciarán Carey would stand out, and was a player that I'd say probably would have made any team in any era. He was an exceptional player.
Out of the country to cheer on Ireland was Ciarán Carey. The flu he picked up in New Jersey has cleared away, and he plays in midfield.
They also had the likes of Dave Clarke and Mike Houlihan.
Stephen McDonagh was one of the tightest, hardest and best hurling cornerbacks in the game at that time. He was tight, he was hard, he was tough, but he was a very good player, a stickler. He was fast, he was skillful, he was always in there. You actually never got away from him.
The Limerick team that developed in the mid-90s, it wasn't developed by accident. I think there was some fantastic players beginning to come through the scene in Limerick. And, I don't think it was. I think it was expected at a time that Limerick were going to make a bit of a burst, And
so taking charge of his second Munster final, Willie Barrett from Ardfillan in County Tipperary. Clare won the toss. They played from left to right in the first half, and this is the 105th Munster hurling final. A terrific atmosphere as ever.
Clare were after giving us a bit of a trimming in this in '93, so we didn't really need any motivation for the Munster final in '94.
TJ Ryan.
They were an exceptional team, and we had great clashes with them, both in the National League. Even they used to draw. I remember one day in the league, probably 20,000 people in Limerick to watch a National League game, which was unbelievable. And it was great rivalry, and obviously Clare and Limerick, great proximity to each other. An awful lot of Clare and Limerick people working together in Shannon, and great rivalry built up at that time.
Taking the second time.
Munster finals, you have huge crowds, 50,000 plus nearly at every Munster final. Once the general build-up in the morning comes and goes and you get towards near the game, once you get out in the field, if you can kind of close your eyes to the magnitude of the occasion and focus on the task in hand. I found that once that was done, and once the ball was thrown in, that you could get on with it.
At that time they were setting the standard along with Clare in Munster, and I think in particular that great score Ciarán Carey got against Clare in the Munster Championship in Limerick, great solo one.
Stephen Sheedy trying to take it out of the ruck of players, comes to Ciarán Carey, lovely balance and control. Look at the way he gets away from 3 or 4 Clare men. Great pace as well, partially stopped. Referee says play on. That's a great advantage, and a point accrues for Ciarán Carey.
It was just one of the greatest scores I ever saw in hurling, and a fantastic achievement by a great player.
So 11 points to 7 at the start of the second half. Limerick the leaders. They looked strong in that first half. Clare having to chase it the whole time.
The biggest thing I remember about the Limerick team was that when they started to get this momentum on you, it was nearly impossible to stop them. And I think they're probably still a bit like that, but they used to have still have a terrific following, but when the crowd got behind them and they started playing well, they were a very, very difficult team to play against.
Jim McInerney stopped well, swept into the side netting, however. Steve McDonagh just getting in the way. Gerald Loughlin.
I was marking Gerald Loughlin, who was a great player for Clare over the years, Very hard man to keep scoreless. But I did reasonably well. I was happy with it, and, I dealt with the occasion, I think, which was the important thing as well.
Sir Lyons, will he go for a goal here? And he gets it! Trying to do something about the scoring imbalance. McInerney comes in, fired in by PG O'Connell, stopped there by McDonagh. Sir Lyons again. And there's another one! And it's Tommy Guilfoyle.
Limerick at that time were setting the standard for counties like Cork to get back up to, and it was a chastening experience for me because the humiliation experience, the beating they gave us in Cork was a huge shock to the system for all of us who were involved with Cork at that time.
To try and finish off the match in rather more devastating fashion.
And it just showed how hurling had moved on from the likes of Cork being traditional power, that the hard work we had to put in to get back to that level.
And it's all over, and Limerick win back the Munster Championship. There were heroes for Dave Mahoney's team in Ciarán Carey and Mike Houlihan, not forgetting players like Steve McDonagh and Dave Clarke as well.
We had an easy enough Munster final, an easy enough All-Ireland semi-final. It was Antrim we played, and I think tougher games you know, might have been a bit of a help to us.
Dave Clarke towards Gary Kirby, caught it well ahead of Hubert Rigney, and he's made the most of it.
They got to the 94 All-Ireland final, and to this day I don't know how they actually lost the game. I was an analyst with RTE and I was looking at the game.
Would he go for a point? I think he's been instructed to do so. He's going for a goal, and he's got it!
It was dumbfounding, really. With 7 or 8 minutes to go, they were 7 points up and lost it by 5 or lost it by 7. They really had the game won.
Awfully now feeling that they can turn the tide. But O'Connor's in! It's another one! It's another goal! 2 goals in the space of a minute, and only 4 minutes left. First time as GA president to present the Liam McCarthy Cup to Martin Hannamy of St. Rynagh's in Offaly. Offaly are the All-Ireland hurling champions for the 3rd time ever. What a day.
We came back in '96 and Ciarán was captain, and there was a general concerted effort, you know, to make an all-out effort to be successful again. We were training in UL, the training went excellent. Our league campaign was moderate enough, but once we came into the championship again in 1996, you know, we still had the basis of a really, really good team.
So it's the 107th Munster hurling final. Limerick's 4th in 5 years, Tip's 6th in 9. Joe O'Leary from Cork is the match referee this afternoon.
I think the 1996 Munster final, the crowd made a huge difference. And the crowd really got behind him, probably similar to the way the Munster crowd get behind the rugby team now. And, you know, that was just an occasion where I thought the crowd really stood out.
Joe O'Leary there as the jostling starts already, and it's underway, the 107th Munster Senior Hurling Final.
Serious atmosphere. You know, very hard to communicate with your defenders, you know, through the noise level. And sometimes it can be, you know, lonely enough place when you're out there, you know, when the thing might be going against you. You know, you have a huge amount of prying eyes in you, and it can be difficult enough at times.
Michael Cleary has it again, trying to provide the father inside there. Declan Ryan looking for the opening point and producing it. Over the head of Mike Nash, caught well by Declan Ryan. Support from Cahill, a goal here. He's buried it. Liam Cahill. So the first half
Tip absolutely bombarded us in the first half. We went in at half time, 11 points down. You know, Tom let fly and told us go out again. We went out and got the Limerick crowd behind us, got a couple of early scores.
And that half-time break must have been most interesting, because Limerick only took a break of about 6 minutes. They were out fast, and here's a chance for their first point from play, and it is scored there by Owen O'Neill in the first attack of the second half. Going by, awkward angle, George Friend trying to get in a challenge. The shot has got Celio over. It's another point for Limerick.
They started to dominate us around the middle of the field and half-back line, and I think there was a strong wind, I think, if I can remember right, the same day, and they really used that well.
You know, they also were a very experienced team, and you know, possibly a younger team than Tip at the time too. They had been beaten in the All-Ireland in '94, and then they'd been beaten by Clare in '95. So when the momentum got behind them, it was hard to turn it. Actually, Tip did well to turn it in the end to get a draw from that game.
Out as far as Frankie Carroll, one sub to another. Can Frankie with the hero here? He can! He's put it over the bar!
I remember on a personal level having a chance near the end of the game, out near the sideline, maybe to hit the winning point.
This time towards Tommy Dunn. Tommy Dunn with the shot, the angle shot, drops into the arms of Joe Quaid, and it's all over, and they both live to fight another day, which I think is a fair result.
To be honest, you know, once we drew it, I knew that evening, like, that we had the bit between our teeth, and the forces with us. You know, once that happened, you know, I think there was only going to be one winner when we went to Cork.
And Tip make 2 changes in personnel from the drawn encounter. Paul Delaney returns to left half back, where he began his championship career back in 1987, while Nicky English has started at top of the left. Tommy Dunn is the unlucky one to lose out.
I was lucky and privileged enough to be able to mark Nicholas English in 1996, and he was, you know, one of the best hurlers I've ever encountered. Fantastic player. You had Pat Fox, you had John Leahy. Again, likening him to a bit like Clare, some of the best players that have graced the game in any stadiums, you know.
Damien Quigley runs on towards Owen O'Neill, almost over in stride, has it now, kicks it and scores! A goal for Limerick! Will he opt to lob this one in? He's giving it everything. Right inside, it's a goal! Inside, 2 against 1. Runs on and right hits the post. And the second time he scoops it in. Huge one down towards Frankie Carroll. Runs on to Owen O'Neill and there's another one. A 4th goal.
Tip didn't play well the second day, and Limerick, I think, scored 4 goals, and you know it was impossible to win it after that, probably. You know.
It's all over. Joe O'Leary has given the signal that that's as much as there is to play. And Limerick, who came from the dead 7 days ago.
Everybody felt that Limerick were going to win that replay, and that was as it turned out. But certainly it was one that we felt got away, and it would have been nice to win playing the last Munster final for me personally.
'96, they came up against Wexford in an All-Ireland final and had a man sent off in the first half. Possibly a game they could have even still won, but they didn't. And I think that was their best chances throughout the 90s and since.
Wexford are the champions. They've won their 6th.
To lose 2 All-Ireland finals in 3 years with a team that would have been good enough to win at least one of those. I mean, it was heartbreaking for them, and they didn't hang around as long as other teams in that era. They had 3 or 4 years under Tom Ryan when they got so close, didn't quite make it, and then they kind of faded away.
Not lost the will to chase.
You know, having played in 3 in a row, it was going to be very, very hard to come back. And in 1997, we beat Waterford here in the first round, and Tipperary gave us a trimming in the semi-final. And I think with the pool of players that got to the 2 All-Irelands, that was the beginning of the end.
They probably should have won an All-Ireland, to be fair, and they will always look back on that era as a time of regret, but they were very good in Munster, and I always think the Limerick supporters are great supporters. They come back time after time, even though they've had a lot of disappointment, and they usually do draw a big crowd, especially to here as well. They bring a huge crowd to Thurles every time they play here.
The players are there, and they have the material to do better. Clearly they're suffering in the city because rugby is going so well. But the city would never necessarily have been the kind of hothouse of talent for hurling in Limerick. It really was the county